And so that ends all the sewing escapade. And so the next step, and it's going to be tomorrow, will be go ahead and begin installing these little babies right here. And these little babies right here over on the other side. Anyway, we'll get to that and show you how we get on with that. And so I'm sure it's going to be a project. I will say this: they provide this little tamping plate, whatever you want to call it, snap fastener installation tool they call it. And so that's all, for installing. Basically, I think that's for installing these right here, because these are the little buttons that get pushed through and then go into those holes right there. Anyway, that's for another day. So, making progress. We're almost done, and get this job all finished up, and this can go down to little girl. All right, guys. So let's get started. Time to do the final process on my sail cover. First thing we're going to do is measure 18 inches back from the leading edge of the zipper, and then you make a division. Okay, so 18 inches is right here. It's where the first swivel snap goes. Then we're going to do a measurement all the way down. By the way, this is my grandfather. Now who knows how old this is? This thing is beautiful. Let's see, that's 60 inches. There's 5 feet. Let's just start right there. Anyway, you do either between 14 and 20 inches space from there on back. And this is a 10-foot boom. So we're going to do a little division thing here and figure that out. And then we're going to mark it out equal amounts all the way back. So if we've gone 18 inches, so we've taken 1.5 feet off from 10 feet. Well, here, I'll tell you what, before we get complicated about this, I'm going to shut this off and do my math first, because I'm no mathematician, and then we'll get back to you guys. Okay, so we got this figured out. The first figure they give you is to put the first twist snap 18 inches back. You see my mark right there for 18. Then they say to anywhere between 14 and 20 inches in between after that. Well, I figured it out I guess 6 more snaps, and it came out to 17 and a half. But when I did that, it put one snap way at the back on the very, very back and interfering with the hem, and I said, forget it. So I tightened it up to 17 inches, and for thereafter, everything worked out perfectly. So at 17 inches, we end up at the end of this with the last snap about 3.5 inches in, and that's perfect. I don't want this snap being any further back than that. It doesn't need to be. So we end up with a total of 7 snaps, and 17 inches apart, except for the first one. And they say always put that one 18 inches back from the lead, or from the zipper. So anyway, that's where we're at with this little project. Now comes the fun part of seeing if we can get this thing to print. Here's what we're working with. This is the little outside of the snap, and that it goes through. And so what I've already done, because being zigzag, it's a narrower space in between. I've gone ahead and tightened up these two, push these two prongs together more so it'll come in between. And then I took my white pencil and, where is it here? Yeah, here we go. Took my white pencil and colored the tip of each one of these, hopefully, and I'm going to go to each one of those locations with a block of wood underneath and push it down in to see if we can get it to mark. And if it marks fine, then we go ahead and cut it, we push it through, etc., and we'll kind of take it one step at a time. Well, here we go with one of the snap hitches. I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, swivel snaps. The outside casing of it, what you do, that has the 4 prongs on the back, that you push down in. Well, what I had to do, because I couldn't get, I don't have the right kind of grease pencil, but anyway, what I did is just took my very, very sharp knife and punctured right next to each one of those prongs, so that it came right through the back. I was able to push it right on through. Okay. And then, by the way, then you secure this washer in place behind it. Well, before all that, what you've got to do is cut an opening, because this is where your swivel snap is going to come through. What I've proposed to do, they do it with scissors. I did it with my knife for the most part, but now what you do is you take a soldering iron and you use that to melt the fabric around the hole. There is a hole there, believe it or not, but I'm going to use this soldering iron to melt the fabric around it and then kind of seize it up so it won't come undone. And then we're moving on. By the way, one last thing. One of the things that I did here, rather than try to get it within the lines of the hem, because it's a zigzag stitch, you have less distance between the two hem lines. And so what I did was to take and going a little below each one. In other words, below the upper one and below the bottom one. And that way it's not puncturing any of the stitching. I don't want it to damage any of the stitching that's there, and it doesn't. And so that's the way I'm handling it for all 7 of my swivel snaps. We'll get this eventually. Okay, so now I'm waiting for this to heat up, and as soon as it's all hot, I'm going to go ahead and smooth up that hole. That'll be all done, and we're going to move on to the next one. It is time consuming. It is time consuming. A whole lot more than I thought it would be, but Rome wasn't built in a day. Well, I've got 3 of these in, and I haven't been videotaping any of this. Sorry about that. But basically, like I mentioned a minute ago, what I'm doing is cutting. The first one I cut is the bottom one, just down below the line. Here, let's get up here where you can see it. Just down below the bottom line of stitching right here. I cut the first one there. Then I push down and come in with my very, very sharp new knife. It's a case knife, I believe, anyway. And I push in just where the prong comes down, up at the top below the second line of stitching. I got too much glare here. And actually, I push down and in so that it's coming directly underneath the foot. And I just rock that knife just back and forth with a point in the slot. And I do that on all 4 of these. Instead of trying to use a white marker, which didn't work very well, I just use a knife. And it does a very adequate job, because once you puncture that, the puncture is very visible on the bottom side here. And I just go ahead and open it up a little bit, just rock the knife back and forth a little bit, put the grommet in, and go ahead and bend those over. But before I do that, I mark with a white marker the inside of this. Once all 4 prongs are in the slots, without securing it, I go ahead and mark the inside of it with that white marker, so I know the hole I'm going to be opening. And then I use a pair of scissors, but mainly I'm using a very sharp knife to cut the opening, and then a pair of scissors to cut a little bit. And ultimately, what I do, I use a solder iron to go ahead and melt the fabric around the inside of that opening, and it's working great. And so I got 3 of these done right now. It's very time consuming. We're heading for the nursing home here before too long, and then we're going to go over to my brother's after that for supper. But I have it down to a pattern now, and that really is the key. Once you get it down to a pattern, you know what you're doing. You just keep on going. I've got a 4th one with the holes cut over there, but I haven't finished out the opening and all that kind of good stuff. So anyway, got a total of 7 of them. That'll be my 4th, and I got 3 more beyond that, and that'll finish up this aspect of the outside starboard side of the cover. And next we're going to be putting in the swivel snaps on the inside here, yeah, on the inside here of your port side. This is port side here. Hang on. Here's port side here. You're going to be putting the swivel snaps on the inside here so that when this falls together underneath the sail, those just pop right on through, turn them, and it secures. All right, well, that gives you an idea of where I'm headed. That's the way I do it anyway, and it's a little bit different than they suggest on the Sailrite website, or what, Sailrite video, what do you call it, YouTube presentation about this whole project. They do it a little bit different, but like I said, it ends up with basically the same thing. Well, guys, after a lot of hard work, I did it. All 7 of the receiver end of the turn, what are they called? Turn snaps, whatever. These are all in, all evenly spaced, 17 inches apart, all the way down the line. And the first one, as they recommended, is 18 inches back from the zipper. So, but that's it, guys. I can't believe it. They're done. Tomorrow, or actually whenever I get to it, tomorrow I'll be back up on the deck. This has been a total rain day. So this is what I did on our total rain day. And it's still not raining. It's still raining out there, and it's 9 o'clock at night. So anyway, but tomorrow we're supposed to be cleared out, and we're going to be back up there on the deck and getting ready to fit some more coring. So we're getting there. Getting there. I love it. That's really good. I like it. Finish up time, and we're going to put in the final installment on our sail cover today. First thing I tell you to do is do the zip up on this, and we've already got this all set. All right, we're all zipped. What that does is keeps this forward edge exactly parallel, because what you want to do is have these line up exactly where your twist snaps are going to go. You're going to go all along this bottom edge, and everywhere we got one of these eyes, we mark through, and that's where we're going to be putting one of those twist snaps. I call them twist snaps. I don't know if that's what they call them. Anyway, so I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to get out my white marking pencil and going to get on to this project. I'm going to get this baby finished up, and be one more item that'll be really nice aboard little girl. Okay, so I'll get this all set up. There's my mark. Beauty of it is, I went out to my old toolkit, and I found this hole punch that I have no idea where I got it or how long ago, but this is going to work, because you got to punch a hole adequate for a little rivet to go through. I don't know if you're seeing this, like that, and that's going to work right there. So anyway, let's give it a shot. I'm going to go ahead and line this up, put it right over the top of that, right there, and do a little white marks. See if that's going to line up. I should do it. I want to make sure the alignment is right, because this snap has to be right on the button. Okay, that's got to go a little more over that way. Okay, give that a shot. This is 3 thicknesses of canvas here, but it should do the job very nicely. We just line up. I don't know if you can see, there's a little hole right there. There's a little hole right there that the punch is going to go up through, and I just line that up with a white mark, and it should be right on the button. And then just, let's see. Yeah, well, not as easy as it looks. I've done this on leather before, for Pete's sake. Wow. Oh, it's coming. It's coming. I just need to be patient and keep pushing. There it is. Wow. There's some heavy canvas, I'll tell you that. Wow. The other thing they say that you can do if you don't have a hole punch is use an awl. And I may use an awl just to open this up. Let me get out my snaps here because I want to see how much hole. Yeah, there they are. Okay. Well, Randy. Of course, everybody's watching this, clutching this here. Okay, and there's your little. That's what they look like on the outside. That's what's coming through. And actually, I think that hole punch is going to be fine. I think that's going to go right through with no problem. And just line it up. Yeah, oh yeah, it's going to go right through. Okay. You probably can't see that, but there it is. That came through with no problem. It's just that these holes are going to, each one is going to be a real, let's put it this way, it's going to take a little effort to get these holes punched through. I want to see something. I want to make sure that where that lines up. Oh yeah, it's gonna work. That's gonna work. Like I said, I may clean up these holes with an awl. That way, it's nice and open. Get back out of the way there. Okay, there we go. All right, well, I'm not going to do more than this. There we go. You know what? It's a matter of getting over the top of it. That worked. Worked like a charm. Beautiful. All right. So what are we going to do now, guys? I'm going to take a pair of scissors and snip off the material that's been punched through because I don't want it in the way when we push those little rivets through, and line it up to expand the heads on top of the swivel snap. Anyway, I'll show you one of these when we get done. Let's see. Scissors. This is a little flange tool that they have you use, and by the way, they provide it with the kit. This is a little flange tool that you use for expanding the heads of those rivets. I call them rivets. That's just the easiest thing to call them. Anyway, so we're gonna go ahead and use that. This just fits right down into the hole in the middle, and then as you use it like a punch with a hammer, it expands it and everything locks into place. So we'll get started on that. So what I do is these snaps are spaced exactly 21 inches on center, and so what I do is every time I want to get this straight, I've got to get the back seam, in other words, the one where the swivel snap is coming through. I've got to get that space exactly the same as it is on the other side, on the eye side. And so what I do is take this and I pull that seam together and I flatten it so that I make sure that everything is nice and flat and straight. Otherwise, if you have a crimp in it, even 1/2 an inch or whatever, the eye is going to be off with regard to the swivel snap. So I'm just really careful with trying to get the positioning on these right. Now this one is aligned here and ready to go, so I'm just going to go ahead and mark it. This one had not been marked yet, so we're just going to go ahead and mark it like that. Okay, get it up here, and there's the mark. Where am I? Yeah, there's the mark. So I got everything set up here. I got the holes punched. Just set that on there like that. We're going to put this in the little cup. I don't know what you call that thing, and we're going to drive it down. So I'm going to get this set up so that you can watch that. But the name of the game on this thing is make sure that you get it dead center on your the little rivets, and use a serious hammer because you need it to flange that thing. So anyway, I'll get this set up. See, that's not a very good flange. Like I said, I'm going to take this downstairs and put it on a concrete floor after a while, and that helped. Anyway, you get the idea. That's what I do all the way down the line. So anyway, We'll do the other one. Well, guys, after literally months of working up on the dining room table and sewing and sewing and sewing, it's done. And I'm just so grateful that for Ryan for loaning me his marvelous Sailrite sewing machine. Couldn't have done it without it. And anyway, but it's done. I just went through and with every one of these snaps, every one of them, I pulled this back. And what I did, by the way, we're down on a concrete here. This is concrete floor, but I've got this little piece of 1/4-inch plywood down to keep my sill cover from getting all dirty with traffic dirt and so on and so forth. So what I did, I had this little anvil that I use for working on clocks. It's just solid steel, and it works perfectly as a backing for this, which is what cradles these things. Okay, you put that on top, put that in its place, and then you come over the top of it, and since this is concrete, and you're down on top of the steel, and with nothing but the plywood separating it from the concrete floor. Man, I'll tell you what, when you come down, where's my little there it is. When you come down with this thing, and this is what you use for punching these and flanging those rivets. I call them rivets. They're probably not. Anyway, you come down about 3 or 4 times with a hammer, and I mean a good solid, carpenter's hammer here, not a little light one. And you come down 3 or 4 times with that on top of that steel with a concrete backing. It is completely flanged. It's beautiful. And I mean, these aren't going anywhere. This is 3, if I count it right, this is 3 layers of canvas right here. And 3 layers of canvas with it set up that way. Well, all I can say is Sailrite knew exactly what they were doing when they designed this. So anyway, they're all done, and I'm going to go ahead and get these all clipped into place all the way down the line, and we'll take some pictures. And my sail cover for Little Girl is officially done. Yes, finally. Anyway, it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. I have something now that looks decent. Before I have a 10-foot boom, and I had borrowed my brother's blue, very old, very raggedy condition. No offense, Gary, I love you, bro. But he had used it for a lot of years, and I had borrowed his old blue sail cover, and it was for a 7-foot boom. Okay, so that meant 3 feet of my sail was showing out the back. Kind of looked a little klutzy. So anyway, we now have an official 10-foot boom sail cover for Little Girl, and it's green, so it kind of matches up with everything else that she's all about. So, all right, guys, I want to get some pictures, and we're going to be done with this. And thank you for stopping by Restoring Little Girl. This, by the way, this video is going to be from work I did on the Cape when I was down there, and work I just finished up here in Vermont. So yeah, just pay no attention to where it's done, just the fact that it's done, and it shows you some of the steps that I used to finish off this project.